A JetBlue pilot faces consequences after losing control mid-air. Hear how a passenger describes the frantic flight.
Crowds are angry about a Florida law protecting the killer of a 17-year-old boy. We have details on both sides of the debate.
Plus, the Mega Millions lottery hits a world record. The dream of $500 million has people lining up for tickets across the country.
Spring break is finally here, and for those of you with travel plans, you're going to want to stay tuned for our weather forecast. Newscene starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Newscene. I'm Phoebe O.
And I'm Ashley Sanchez. Thanks for joining us tonight.
A JetBlue pilot is now suspended after allegedly having a mid-air meltdown. A 49-year-old Clayton Osmond is being charged with interfering with flight crew instructions. This is how one passenger describes what happened.
All of a sudden I see that pilot beelining frantically towards the cockpit door, screaming how he had to get in there. He needed to, throttle down the plane. There was a bomb on the plane. They're going to take us down. And then that's when all the gentlemen jumped up and restrained him.
He is now getting medical treatment under the supervision of the FBI. The Department of Justice says the captain could face 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine.
A candlelight vigil was held for an El Cajon woman this Wednesday night. 32-year-old Shema Alawadi, mother of 5, was found beaten unconscious with a tire iron and taken off life support a few days later. Family, friends, and even strangers touched by the tragedy came together demanding answers and justice. El Cajon police are considering this a possible hate crime due to a letter found near the victim's body. The case of 17-year-old Florida teen shot dead by a neighborhood watch captain continues to unfold. Wednesday, the governor of Florida assigned special prosecutor Angela Corey to take over the investigation. Corey promises to camp down on the release of what usually public documents. That includes videos and other related factual information. Meanwhile, people across the country continue to demonstrate in solidarity with the family of the dead teen Trayvon Martin. Here in San Diego, Newscene reporter Alex Miller-Pastori is reporting from Balboa Park.
I am in Balboa Park, where behind me, students from as far away as Los Angeles are gathering to take the frustration they're feeling over the handling of the Trayvon Martin case and transforming it to a message that involves peace and love. And I'm standing here with the president of the Black Student Union at Mesa College, Ms. Gail Gates. And my question for you is, the shooting took place in Florida. We're in California. Why is it important for you to be out here today?
Because killings are going on all over the world. Here in our communities, every day something is happening. I'm here today to bring meaning to Trayvon's life and all the Trayvons of the world.
As you can see, this case has inspired a lot of questions and a lot of passion. And here in San Diego, the message is being infused with a message that involves peace and love as well as justice. From Balboa Park, I'm Alex Miller-Pastori, Newscene.
Despite the outcries for justice that have come from the streets to the White House, it may be the law that denies the supporters of Trayvon Martin relief. Our Jim Smith reports.
These are the voices of an angry public in the wake of the shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. Martin was shot in Sanford, Florida last month by neighborhood watch captain George Zimmerman. But many are at a loss to understand why authorities haven't arrested Zimmerman on murder charges.
We want Zimmerman! We want Zimmerman! I don't want justice, I want Zimmerman!
According to some local officials, Zimmerman is protected by Florida's Stand Your Ground law. Under Florida statute, if you are attacked in a place where you have a right to be, the use of deadly force can be applied. But is this applicable in this case?
The law that we passed in 2005 to protect Floridians does not apply in this case.
This former senator that sponsored the original bill says no.
police gave the perpetrator warning that they should not be following the individual. You know, it lost all protection under the law, as I see it, whatever law.
But could this law apply in other ways?
I really believe that this guy chased my son, and my son was protecting himself. My son was exercising his stand your ground rule.
Certainly, the law ought to be revisited. It absolutely should be clarified and explained, because I think there's a lot of doubt out there about how it's applied and how people understand when they can really use it.
As of now, the decision to charge Zimmerman is up to Florida prosecutors. This is Jim Smith for Newscene.
Alaska and Texas have statutes that are similar to Florida's, while California requires a duty to retreat unless you are in your home or in a dwelling and are in immediate danger.
As you just saw, the shooting of Florida teenager Trayvon Martin has sparked rallies and protests across the country, even reaching Capitol Hill. Illinois Democratic Congressman Bobby Rush was kicked off the House floor for wearing a hoodie in protest for Martin's death. He took off his jacket, revealing a hoodie, and also put on sunglasses, violating the House dress code.
Racial profiling has to stop, Mr. Speaker. Just because someone wears a hoodie does not make them a hoodlum.
A presiding officer repeatedly hit the gavel to remind him of the dress code, but Rush just keeps going. He was later escorted away from the podium.
The San Onofre generating station is now completely shut down after reports of leaked radiation and failed pressure tests. Back in January, tests found that 8 tubes carrying radioactive water were in danger of rupturing. Newscene's Kayla Gomes has the update.
You can't miss it from Interstate 5, just 45 miles north of San Diego.
The nuclear generating station has been shut down for over 2 months, causing some people to worry about safety. But Southern California Edison maintains this is a planned outage and it poses no risk to the community.
This company, which operates the station, refused a recorded interview and leaves the public with many questions unanswered, fearing the worst, a nuclear catastrophe like in Fukushima, Japan. Professor Jennings worked at the station for over 20 years and explains what San Diegans have to be concerned about.
Most nuclear utilities are very sensitive to panic and getting people up worried, so they don't like to release information until they're absolutely sure. Part of the communication problem is they have to control what they say because they don't want to say stuff that either will panic the public or open them up for liability to a lawsuit. But what people need to understand is that not all radiation is the same, and the radiation that was released by that leak was actually a very short-lived radiation, about 16 seconds. So in a couple of minutes, it was gone. It never really got off-site boundary, so it didn't get to the public. I guess the real concern is that this is a relatively new steam generator. It's only been there about 2 years. To have leaking tubes this early wasn't expected.
With photojournalist James Smith, I'm Kayla Gomes, Newscene.
These problems are raising serious questions about generators that were installed as part of a multi-million-dollar makeover in 2009 and 2010. San Onofre is under investigation and will stay inactive until the problem is fixed. California authorities are looking for alternative sources of power in case the station cannot restart by summer.
The San Diego-based group Invisible Children is getting attention for the wrong reasons again. One of the group's directors was caught on camera joking about keeping $900,000 for himself. In the video, Jedediah Jenkins is shown drinking a bottle of vodka as he slurs his speech. He claims that the video is a joke and the bottle is just filled with water. The group's co-founder was recently put in a mental facility following a public breakdown.
Thanks to the Maryland Medical Center, a 37-year-old man finally gets to see his new reflection. Richard Norris lived in isolation since 1997 after he suffered from a gun accident. Following his 23rd face transplant, Norris is thankful to see his new face as hope for a new life. The 36-hour-long operation is the most extensive face transplant ever done.
An iconic Dr. Seuss Lorax statue is still missing. Police say the statue was stolen from the late author's home earlier this week. The widow of the Theodore Geisel, better known as Dr. Seuss, lives in La Jolla. If the statue is returned, police say no charges will be filed. A reward is being offered to anyone with information on the statue's whereabouts. President Obama's health care plan has had its share of controversy. The Supreme Court gathers to decide which side they will take.
And kind of the dream of playing in the NBA comes true for the former City College student. Find out which team he will be joining for a 10-day contract.
But it would be safe to keep your distance until there's no secret that laughter makes you smile. Reliable sources say that chicken soup has found their way out of this year.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Pope Benedict XVI is back at the Vatican after a 3-day visit to Cuba. He visited earlier this week trying to build a stronger relationship with the Catholic Church in a communist country. Cubans gathered in the Revolution Plaza before he left to the airport, the same place Castro had once given his famous speeches. The Pope read a sermon and asked for more freedom for the Catholic Church in Cuba. Later, the Pope met with Castro and at some point criticizes the U.S. trade embargo. They talked about religion, science, and the state of the world. Picked up another endorsement while Newt Gingrich's campaign may be coming to an end. The House Budget Committee Chairman Paul Ryan is endorsing Mitt Romney. He says Romney has the best chance of beating President Barack Obama. Meantime, Gingrich has cut a third of his staff and hired a new campaign manager. He says he's focusing on technological improvements with Twitter, YouTube, and other social media.
Republicans for allowing us to come and be with you. As many of you know, Clista's from Wisconsin. We actually have a number of Wisconsin ties. She spent most of the week here campaigning. She's from Whitehall.
He was speaking with Mr. Medvedev of Russia, and he said, "This is my last election. I can be more flexible after the election is over."
I want to join Callista in thanking the Oshkosh College Republicans for allowing us to come and be with you. As many of you know, Clista's from Wisconsin. We actually have a number of Wisconsin ties. She spent most of the week here campaigning. She's from White.
With 3 days of public arguments, the Supreme Court will now decide the fate of President Obama's health care plan. The Supreme Court justices will meet privately to decide whether the health care law will be upheld or thrown out. If passed, the law would extend health care to over 50 million Americans who are uninsured, but it would require Americans to carry health insurance or pay a penalty, raising the question, is the mandate constitutional? The issue has caused mixed opinions amongst the Supreme Court justices, and some are arguing that parts of the mandate should be upheld rather than completely thrown out. Others say that if the law is upheld partially, it will not survive.
My approach would say if you take the heart out of the statute's